We're talking about the Phantom deck. This is the ultimate ending to whatever card trick you're doing. At any moment in time, you can change in your hands visually or in their hands as a surprise, a deck of cards into an entirely clear deck. This has been over a year in development to get not just the exact thickness and handle of playing cards in clear plastic, but also a fused treatment on the sides of the deck so that it's completely white and will resemble any deck of cards you want to use. I'm going to teach you switches to get into and out of the Phantom deck. I'll teach you my favorite routine to use it, easy routines, advanced routines, and then in the explanation, we'll look at how you can put this in the spectator's hands so that they can put the deck behind their back, and when they bring it forward, it's transformed into a completely clear deck. For years, magicians have been using the Omni deck as the ultimate and the way to end their card routine. This is the Omni deck taken to the next level. Jerry Andrus and Danny Corum invented what has got to be one of the all-time best closers for a card set. The Omni deck. So really abstract, strange ending, but it has an undeniable impact. A deck of cards fuses into a solid piece of glass. When I started working with this effect, I wanted to make a critical change, and that is I wanted some flexibility in the way they felt, the way they behaved in your hands, and also how they remembered the effect later. What do they remember with an Omni deck or with a color changing deck? How can they describe it? That's when I came up with the Phantom deck. It's this, a totally clear deck of cards where every single card turns clear. To me, when I say I'm going to make your card turn invisible, this is what that looks like manifested in real life. It's a deck that handles surprisingly well for all the sleights you might want to do with it, but it does have a visual impact that's pretty great. And I love that you can move it around, that you can find cards in it, that you can separate some cards from other cards, that they can put it in their hand behind their back and cut it. For these reasons and more, I'm now using the Phantom deck at every opportunity to close my card set. So let's get started so that you can do the same. One more?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
reach in, take out a card, any card you like. And show it around, not yet, but when I turn away and I'm not looking, I want you to show it to both of them,
Okay.
and then show it to the people watching at home so they can see it as well.
Okay.
I'll turn away, you take a look. Got it?
Got it.
Yes. Alright. So I'll take your card. I don't want to know what it is or where it goes in the deck. I'm going to turn away and I want you to push it all the way in.
Okay.
All the way in on the count of 3. 1, 2. Did you already push it in?
Yeah.
Great. This is going to be interesting for everybody then. You didn't hide it. You actually
No.
put it in there. Okay, good. Hold out your hand like this then. I hope this works. I'm going to place my hand on top. Would you place your hand on top? One hand on top, one hand beneath. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, beneath. Yeah, that's good. So you're surrounding the deck on all sides. I'm going to try and reach in without looking. Set your card. Seriously. Okay. Then we'll try something much more difficult. Rather than try and find your card, I'm going to try and make every card in your hand turn invisible. Lift your hands. Over your hand, look. every card
Oh my
in the
God.
deck.
What?
Every
That's
single
awesome.
card turns clear. Every single card in the deck. Take a look. Every one except for one. You take it out. You show it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Wow. That's awesome.
That's ridiculous.
Thank you. This is the Phantom deck, and when you get it and inspect it, you're going to notice a few properties that we should go over quickly. The first one is the sides of the deck. They're not painted white. They're fused with white with a special process that they've done for us. It won't chip away. It should last forever. And you've got what really resembles a white border. When you apply a normal playing card on top of it, you really get, unless you're doing a side-by-side comparison, which you never would, you really get what simulates a deck of cards perfectly. Now, something else I want to bring to your attention about this is that because of the process needed to get white on a card that won't flake off and when you bend the cards crack away, there are little imperfections on the cards in certain places. This isn't a mistake, this isn't a defect, and this is never noticed. And similarly, as you use your Phantom deck, you're going to notice that the plastic, because it is plastic, gets a little bit of scratched up like any plastic would. But the truth is, for the short time that they're seen, as long as they can see through it and they can see you through it, that's all that matters. So have no fear, those aren't defects in the props, those are the best way that we can give you a deck that'll last forever. So, how you use a Phantom deck depends entirely on you. Are you going to use this to close out your first trick, your last trick? Is this the last trick in your set? What card magic do you already do? I use it right now as a first ending to an ambitious card routine. I end the whole routine by finding the ambitious card in John Kennedy's mystery box. But I turn the deck invisible, so to speak, with this just before that phase. So for me, it's an accent to where it's going further. But I've also used this as the absolute ending to a lot of different routines. And I'm going to run through a few of those with you now. So whatever deck you are going to be using for the trick, you are going to add one cover card to it. I always use the Two of Spades. A lot of people prefer to use a joker in this type of situation because they can use a line when they find the wrong card. Is that your card? No? Jokers are why. Doesn't really suit me, but totally works if that's your thing. How do we switch this in? Well, again, that's going to depend entirely on context. So let's look at a few contexts right now. All right, the best situation is if you're wearing a jacket, blazer, loose sweatshirt with pockets in it, something that you can get into pockets that aren't tightly against the body. The reason for that is the hands, when they have to go into my jeans pocket, they got to go like that, and you can tell in my shoulders and my arms. When I casually turn to the side and dip into this pocket, you really can't tell if I keep my arms here. And that's the idea of this first basic switch. You need an empty pocket, and you're going to place the Phantom deck with the cover card in the pocket. I like to put it in like this. Some people might turn it up. Some people use a card box as a divider or a piece of cardboard. I don't find any of that necessary with the switch I'm going to show you. So, you're doing tricks. Your favorite tricks, whatever you want to do, and you're going to switch the cards in an offbeat. Now, how do we create an offbeat? Two basic ways. One would be under the cover of directions, and the other would be under cover of a revelation. So, my preference is for the former, but I'll talk about the latter first. If you do a trick in which you show a card, King of Spades, and you take that card and you hand it to them and I say, go ahead and turn it over, you're not going to believe it, check it out. And they turn it over and it changes to the Jack of Hearts. At that moment, your whole body can relax. You can kind of relax a little bit, take a step back, And in that moment, here's what you can do. As you go, you turn away from your audience, you turn this way, and you go into your pocket just like I'm going to show you. I pinch the deck here, but these two fingers are going to scissor. These two fingers are going to scissor the phantom deck. So I go in and come out, all in one motion, and then square up like this. There's no secret move. If they are burning your pocket, they are going to see it, but there's no reason that they would be burning your pocket. So let's try this again. You have your deck set in whatever order, for whatever trick you're trying to do. Your phantom deck is in your pocket like so. And you would do some kind of revelation. That's right, there's only one reverse card. You take it out, you show it around. I don't believe it. Go ahead, take a look. And you're done. You turn back around and you've got the card switched. You see, I just go in and out. Now, the advantage of covering it with a revelation is oftentimes it's with applause. Oftentimes they're looking just there and you can do it. The only disadvantage, and it's a very small one, is from a theatrical standpoint, this ending, this phantom deck ending, now becomes an afterthought, a kicker ending, something else that happened after I changed the card in Joni's hand or I found the card Joni was thinking of. What I'm going to share with you now is how to cover the switch under cover of an instruction. And this allows you to use the phantom deck as a trick unto itself. I prefer to switch the decks under cover of a suggestion, an instruction. The reason for this is it allows the phantom deck to breathe and live as its own trick, not as an accent to a trick you're already doing. But that's just my preference. So here's the psychology behind this, and it took me a long time to sort of develop this. What we're going to do is create some unnecessary tension and mystery around a very mundane action, which is picking a card. So what I'm going to say to the spectator or the group of people is, take out a card, but don't look at it yet. Now that's pretty weird. So I really focus my hands here and I let them take out any card. And I say, hold it in your hands, but don't look just yet. And this is where I say, I'm going to turn away and I want you to make sure everybody sees the card except for me. What a perfect moment for everybody to be looking at her, watching her. You have a legitimate excuse to literally, physically turn your back on your crowd and do the easiest deck switch of all time. This is my preference on how to do it. Okay, I'll turn away and you show the card around. And now I get the cards ready. I do that same motion where I go in, scissor, come out, put them in my hand, and this all takes place where they're over there to my back. So now when I turn around, the deck has been switched, it's already been shown through previous tricks, and you're ready to go. Now to continue in this way, just for the whole routine to keep it complete, you'll have a cover card like the Jack of Hearts in this case, and their card, which will be a different card each time. And I take their card back and I say, I'm going to place it in the middle of the pack, and I put it in there, and this is what's so nice. This wouldn't be possible with some of the other solid deck or omni deck endings. And now I use an old gag, but I think it's a really great moment for the spectators. I say, I'm going to turn away. I want you to push your card all the way in. And they do, and then you say on the count of 3. 1, 2, I'll take it. Wait, did you already push it in? You already put it in the deck. You didn't put it in your pocket. Oh boy. This is going to be hard for all of us then. It's funny. It'll get a laugh. Sometimes it'll get a moment like, oh, you messed up the magician. But I like this gag because it has a very important function, and that is it really feels like the card is not under your control. It's important. So what if you're not wearing a jacket? Happens to me all the time. You're going to use a back pocket switch, which is just as good and just as handy. So let's begin with the setup. You have your cover card and the phantom deck, and that goes, I like to do it with the back like this, in my back left pocket. And so what's going to happen is you're going to have to briefly go behind your back with both hands, but again, it's in that off beat, and you're going to turn slightly away. So what happens is, and this is a little bit tough because I've got a mic pack in the back, but I'll show you the idea. Take the card, turn it over, show it to them. Is that your card? It is. That's what I thought. And you're going to go back behind your back. You ditch the deck in the right pocket as you retrieve in the left pocket, and then feed the deck into your right hand as you come out. Okay? So you do that. Excellent. Well, let's try one more thing. I'll take this card back, and you're right back into your normal routine. All right, let's go through that switch one more time at speed. You've got the regular deck of cards here. I'm going to turn around so you can see. You have a card picked or revealed in a moment. At the same time, you step back, and as you relax your whole body, you do this. So you come out, and it's over within about a second and a half. Now you take the card back, put it back in, and you're right into your Phantom deck ending. The last thing I want to say is this. You may have a better switch if you're seated, if you use the cooler, which switches decks automatically, a million other ways to do it. I just want to caution you that the deck switch isn't about the mechanics of it as much as it is fluidity. Your hands have to know separately and together where they're going. You can't be looking at it, practice in the dark, or looking at some other focal point, because you want to be able to go in and out with total confidence, totally relaxed, and without looking at your hands. So it's mostly about knowing your spaces, knowing your pockets, knowing that it's going to be in the right place at the right time that can give you that confidence to make the switch quickly. And that's all you need to know. So now you're ready to go into the revelation. You tell the spectator to hold out her hand and you place the cards in her hand. This deck feels 1,000% like a real deck of cards, so that's going to be great. You don't have to worry about that. You've got a cover card on top, which is going to be wrong, or a joker, or something like that. Place your hand on top of hers, and then invite everybody else to put their hands around. And now you say, I'm going to try and find your card. And you go in, and you're going to remove the top card, that cover card. Was that your card? They're going to say no. Now, I always take this card because it's the same cover card I would always use. I use the 2 of spades. And I place this in my other pocket. It's just a bit of pocket management, but that way when I walk to the next group, I can reset. Then I'll have to try something even more difficult. I'm going to try and cause the cards to disappear. Every card to disappear. And you lift your hand, and you're going to get a great moment. You're going to get the Omnideck moment, which is the moment where it all turns clear. But here's the cool part. I reach into their hand, and now I take a few cards out and hold them up. Every card turns clear. And now I pick up the whole deck, turn it over, every single card, and turn it over again, except for one. And here I spread through and have this eerie appearance where slowly, as the cards go through, one card starts to materialize. And that one card, and they take it out, and it's the one that they picked. You're left in a position where you, at chest height, are displaying all of these clear cards. They're left with the one they picked. It happened in their hand. And I think at its most potent, that's the best use of the Phantom deck. This is an advanced routine for the Phantom deck. I like this a lot because it milks the revelation and separates it into 2 parts. The second one much stronger than the first. So there is some additional setup involved. When you do the switch, and you're going to use the instructional switch, the switch covered by pick a card from a regular deck, and I want you to not look at it yet, wait till I turn away and then make sure everybody sees it. That's the switch you're going to use, but you have to force a card. You're going to force the 8 of clubs. And the additional setup is, on your Phantom deck, you've got a duplicate 8 of clubs on the top, and that 8 of clubs has a double stick tape piece right in the middle of it. So that's the only additional setup. You do the same scissor switch there, and you come out, and you're in this position. As you talk and you say, I'm going to place your card on top of the deck, you're going to steal one of those clear cards in palm. It's like the easiest palm in the world, because even if you have windows in your fingers, they see right through them. So now you take back the card from the spectator and you place it on top of the deck in tent vanish position. And what you're going to say to them is, hold out your hand palm up, take your card, and you do a tent vanish, which is just allowing that card to fall flat on top of the deck as you come in front and grab it. But it's a very convincing tent vanish because you go straight from here, from the deck, onto their hand, and you allow them to feel, it will feel like a playing card as you rub it. And this is what's so nice. They're holding out their hands like this. You place this hand on top and you say, I'll cause your card to turn totally invisible. And you do this on their hand and they get a clear card. That's the first moment. That's the first kind of revelation. You are still way ahead because you're here on top of the deck. If you press your thumb down, you're going to stick those two duplicates together. And now you take their card, you say, look, I'll put your card, your invisible card, in the middle of the deck. So we've got a deck of cards with one invisible card, but if I just riffle, every card turns invisible. Every single card except for one, which now has turned visible again, and that's your 8 of clubs. And so it's like this inversion ending where you turn their card invisible, then you turn it visible again, and you turn everything else invisible. This is a bonus routine that comes courtesy of the UK's Andy Gladwin. Andy was a user of the Omni deck, so when the Phantom deck came out, he experimented with ways to use both exclusively, and one way he came up with to combine them. Here it is. The setup is a little different. You're going to use your Omni deck, available in good magic shops worldwide, and just a few cards. He uses 4 or 5, but I find it's a little better with more, like 7 or 8. And those go on top of the deck, and that goes in your pocket prepared for the same switch. So, if you have a card picked, any one pick that you want, don't look at it yet. I'm going to turn away. I want you to show it around to everybody or whatever you're going to do with it. And all you do as you turn away is that same scissored switch coming out. And now, as with the Omni deck, you kind of have to, if you're not using a cover card, kind of come over with your hands a little covered, and you take the card back and you place it on top of the deck or go into your routine as you'd like to do it. So let's say you've just revealed the card. Now you're in this position, which is selection, several cards from the Phantom deck, and the Omni deck beneath it. I think you know what's coming here. You say, hold out your hand. They do. You place your hand on top. Everybody's on top of that. You reach in, and you find their card. Step 2, for the next applause cue, revelation, you say, I'm going to cause every card to turn invisible. And they turn their hand over, and they see what looks like a clear deck. You can reach in, as I showed you, and show 2 or 3 individually. Then you pick up the whole deck, and you say, look, every single card has turned clear. Every single card turned clear. And you're showing this, you're just not showing that everything is solid. Now you offer to take it one final step. Let's do this one more time with somebody else. Would you step forward and hold out one hand up and one hand down? And as you're giving this instruction, you just lift up all of those cards and palm them. And you say, place your other hand on top. And you're just giving them the Omni deck. And you're going to tell them you're going to fuse those clear cards together and leave them with this, which is, of course, the solid piece of glass. So that's sort of a mega routine in which you get many revelations in one, courtesy of Andy Gladwin. Some final thoughts. This is a great way to end a card set, as you know. I have another effect on the market called Prism Deck, and that's how I ended my card routines for a long time. It's really nice to have 2 different ways to go about it at the same event, because now I can mix it up and do 2 really amazing things where I change the color of a deck for these guys, and then for those people over there, I make the deck itself change. I think there's something inexplicably beautiful and cool about the Phantom deck, or any effects in the genre. And how you use it is totally up to you. Get creative. It's 52 different cards. So perhaps it's the end of a packet effect. Perhaps you just use one of the cards and just do a beautiful trick in which one card turns invisible. Perhaps you want to use it so that you can hand the cards to somebody, have them put it behind their back, and have them cut the cards. And when they come forward again, they discover that the deck has turned clear in their hands without you being anywhere near it. There are so many possibilities with a Phantom deck that it's limited only by your imagination. As always, I really thank you for your support and all your support through the years watching my stuff. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope it makes its way into your repertoire. Have fun.